Hello again. Here is your prompt and overview for the literary journalism assignment. Um, please read this over. I know it looks long, but it gives you lots of options. So let's take a look. The ideal deadline is Wednesday, November 25th, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I think that would make you happy to get it off your plate. But there is, because it's a holiday and because of life, and because it's just, it is what it is. The deadest of dead deadlines is December 1st. Now, don't hold on to it forever. I'd like you to get this off your plate because we have one last unit to delve into before we close the semester. So that's that. The length and formatting, 5 to 8 pages. If you go longer, that's okay. If you go shorter, you probably haven't done enough research or done enough experiential anything. So minimum is 5, suggested is 8, and if you go 10ish, I won't have a hernia or anything. If you go 20, I will cry. So pace yourselves. You will include a works cited page, double space, 12-point font. The whole essay is going to be formatted in MLA style. That said, we're going to have some wiggle room about in-text citations. That doesn't mean you don't credit your sources, but as you will observe as you're doing your readings, model essays don't include author, page number in parentheses kinds of citations. They use signal phrases such as so-and-so, author of this, that, and the other thing, says this thing about that. And so we introduce the source and the quote and so on. And others also use hyperlinks to go directly to the source rather than the page number and all that hoota. So you may use hyperlinks if you desire. You may use signal phrases as you desire. But any journalist, even if you don't see it in the published work, any journalist has a works cited page or a list of resources that they give to their editor when they publish, so that the editor and the fact checkers can check the facts. So your credibility is on the line just like anybody else's. So you're going to tell us where you got your information. That includes your interviews. So foundational reading, your Tell It Slant chapters, please do read these. These are really helpful. This ThoughtCo piece, as I mentioned before, is super important. This is a review of the necessity of turning oneself into a character. You read that for the first unit. But it doesn't hurt to look at it again since you are a character as a journalist. You're exploring the nonfiction genre of literary journalism. Note the term literary plus journalism, and we talked about that in the last video. You're bringing storytelling and reportage together. And if you're interested in seeing where and how you can find literary journalism in the world, it's around you all the time. It's in the scheme of genres relatively new, but by that I mean the last 60 years. But to find great examples, The New Yorker, Harper's, GQ, Rolling Stone, and so on, publish really great stuff. I would like you to read a little bit of Shipping Out this week just to get a flavor of how it's done. It's a very long piece. I'm not going to require that you read all of it, but you might find it's hard to stop. So just keep that in mind. Please read the prompt closely. This is talking about how we're doing this slightly differently in the age of COVID, where you explore a topic within the safety of either your home or at a social distance. So your blog addresses this first option among your prompts about long distance relationships or socializing in isolation. The first part talks about how people have been creative in how they socialize using, like my daughter uses Discord to talk with her buddies who are all over the world right now. Some people are using, various apps and so on. But also, what are you doing that's different, that you wouldn't have done pre-pandemic in terms of communicating with others and maintaining relationships? This is another piece, another variation on the theme. This particular piece talks about how some relationships fade, some get more intense in these times of distancing, and what has changed. So the research piece of this isn't just the experiential and the interviews, but looking at the deeper concepts, the themes that we're addressing. We talked about theme and the main idea behind your personal essay. Well, that's going on here too, but it's in a bigger context. So your theme here could be, what are the mental health benefits and risks of isolation or maintaining relationships at a distance, or what are the costs, benefits, risks, all these things. Those themes, those bigger issues are illustrated through your experience and your interviews, right? You're bringing in the big stuff that you're reporting on with the real life stuff that you are experiencing and interviewing about. So take a look at that. Immersion journalism usually means you go out and do something you've never done before, and report back as a newbie in the field. We can't actually go out and do things, but you can talk about things that you have done in this pandemic time that you would not have done otherwise. For some people, that's been about self-improvement. For some people, it's been about binge watching something or other. Maybe it's you've cleaned out closets or taken up Zumba. I don't know, right? Whatever it is that you have thrown yourself into in the safety of isolation or in the safety of social distancing. If you haven't yet thrown yourself into something and tried it out, this is your opportunity to do that and report back. This is a hysterical piece. To Hell and Back Again, A Day with the Marie Kondo Method. It's a really funny immersion journalism piece about this woman who did the Marie Kondo purging practice, cleaning out her closets and whatever. She drops a couple F-bombs, so if that offends you, you can try this one, which is also fun. This is you'll find this essay in the Hall of Fame, and I will also post it in later in this unit. This essay, Stretching in a Rainforest Makes Your Brain Feel Good, is an immersion journalism piece about hot yoga, and it's well done. So take a look at that. It's a student essay. Pardon me. The weird world of work. Work has changed during the pandemic. What does it mean to you? For some, if in essential jobs, essential workers, you're out in the thick of it, dealing with people who, may or may not be wearing their masks appropriately, and life is complicated. Or you might be working from home in ways that you might not have before, or you might not be working at all. All of those things affect our lives, and you have stories to tell. So please take a look at that. We've got some samples here that illustrate immersion journalism regarding work. This is a TED Talk by Robin Nagle. She is an anthropologist who did research by actually joining sanitation workers in New York City to find out how they lived, how they worked, their stories, and she comes away with such compassion and respect. So I encourage you to watch this as an illustration of how she combines her lived experience with data she gathers from actual sources, and then who she is as a reporter, right? She's diving right in. This is also an immersion journalism piece about a grocery store worker who is in the front lines. This was written early in the pandemic, when anxieties were higher than they are now, even though the COVID numbers are higher than they were then. Complicated. And then this is a sample student essay that you can find in the Hall of Fame. What do you expect? It's Walmart. She talks, this is more of a feature journalism piece where she is less of front and center, but she interviews others and observes as well as finds data. Art, music, literature, and the healing arts. As we know, we can't go to concerts, we can't go to plays, but art is still out there, it's still happening. So how is it happening? How does it sustain you? How do you sustain others? How do you participate in art as a consumer or a creator? And what are the benefits of doing so? There are psychological and physical benefits to making music and making art. What is the psychological effect of creativity? Many psychologists call it the phenomenon of flow. What happens in the brain when we get into that creative space where we forget about time and don't notice that we're hungry? Those kinds of magical feelings that come with creativity. How does that happen? So that can be part of the research you do, as well as what is going on right now regarding the arts. Alternatively, you might research the financial and business aspects of or impacts of the pandemic on the arts. New Mexico is certainly home to a lot of art, and some of that has been on pause. The film industry, um, what's going on there? Is it coming back? Is it coming back in a limited way? What's going on? How are we doing this? Here is a sample essay about art and rap poetry and mooncakes. It's a lovely piece. And there are some sample examples of how people have created art in this time and just fun stuff. But you can do some research on your own, find stuff about that. Mythbusters, confronting conspiracy theories and misinformation with science. As you are well aware, there's a lot of misinformation about the pandemic floating around out there. Some of it is crazy and some of it is plausible. And how do we know the difference? And why would people fall for some stuff? These are big questions, but we can actually interview and research this. So maybe you've heard about the notion of drinking bleach, don't do it, or ingesting or injecting it, or some people have suggested using a blow dryer to heat up the nasal passages and dry them. I don't understand this. Or eating ice cream because, I don't know, some of them are just loopy. But there, I think it was Mark Twain who said, a lie can go around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on. Things go viral easily. People get hooked into conspiracy theories, and maybe we all have, right? Or maybe we know people who have, or maybe we've kind of almost fallen into the abyss and caught ourselves. What is it that draws us to conspiracy theories? What makes them so appealing? That could be the kind of thematic question that we ask. And what crazy things are out there? So we have examples of places to go to confirm or deny conspiracy theories. Among them, Snopes. And the CRAP test, of course, is something you probably learned about in other English classes, which is about currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. If we can evaluate some sources using that tool, that's helpful. The Advantes media bias chart will give you kind of an idea of political bias as well as complexity of thought and detailed reportage. I'll show you that in a minute if I have time, but you can play with that. This is a great sample essay about this. This reporter followed people who believe in chemtrail conspiracy theories and interviewed them, and it's really interesting how compassionate she is about how these are normal people who by not normal belief system, whatever, what's going on, and so read that if you're interested in this topic for sure. And then why do people believe in conspiracy theories? That could give you a little more of that thematic background to get you started. Nurturing nature. For many, the best way to cope with being locked down is to go out, just to see the world. Tromp around in the snow today. Notice how the air feels. Those kinds of things are so healing to the soul. Sometimes when I'm stressed out, I just go outside and look at the garden, which of course is covered in snow and is going to die. But those things I think are really soothing. But in what way? So in what way do you, as a reporter, experience the nature, and how do you, what is out there in the world to help us use nature to nurture? You can explore the healing benefits of spending time with animals, look into animal therapies, or perform interviews, research the mental and physical, spiritual benefits or challenges of living and working with humans, at best friends, or working with the living creatures that grow from the earth. Some resources. Forest bathing is a thing. That is a Japanese practice, and it's a beautiful practice, and I'd love you to read more about it. And there are some other sample essays here about the healing powers of gardens. This one's pretty funny. Is My Dog Sick of Me? And this is a beautiful piece about the slim boundaries between animal and human worlds in the zoos, in theory, but in a larger sense as well. So please take a look at that. That's in your Tell It Slant collection. So take a look at the overview of what literary journalism essay is, and the prompts. You can use all of these tools to make your work more engaging. And here's the rubric. I am running out of time. Enjoy!